سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Impact Attack right here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. I'm your host of the most, lives on the West Coast, your boy, MSG. Follow me on Twitter on Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. We're back for another detailed, or somewhat detailed, breakdown of Impact Wrestling from tonight, June 23rd of 2020. In a world of chaos, in the world of professional wrestling, our fearless leader, Bin Hamin, Ya Allah, is not here. So I tried to call Ted the Manbeast, but he's not here. I was going to call Chris Silvio, but I can only ring him once a week, so he'll be with me tomorrow for a Light the Fuse AEW review. So I was like, who can I call? Well, with everything going on in this sick, sad world, there is one man right now at Hamin Media Group is on the forefront of trying to navigate through the chaos, through the news, the rumors, the text messages, and all the different conversations, and just anything that's going on in the world of professional wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Hamin Media original, William Alicea. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be on. And anytime I can help, just call me.
Yeah, you're always ready to take the call. Well, we appreciate you as you are taking a lot of calls right now, I assume, yes?
A lot of alerts, a lot of texts, a lot of things. Let's just put it that way. It's news heavy, but all on the same subject basically. This whole speaking out movement that's pretty much rocked the entire wrestling scene. If you kind of think about it, from all the top organizations all the way down. Um, it's a crazy time right now.
It is a very delicate, sensitive issue that has come to the forefront. I also think it's been, um, I think it's been, I, it needed to happen. You know, it's something that has been long standing, not just in professional wrestling, in society as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the grand scheme of things, if you, this doesn't just extend, this isn't just pro wrestling, as you mentioned. Like you mentioned, it goes out. I mean, we're talking entertainment. In the world of entertainment, this has been going on for years upon years. I mean, if we're talking going all the way back to, I guess a lot of people call it Carney days, this has been something that's happened forever. It's nice to see that it's being acknowledged now. Being in 2020, just the way society has been and what we've been dealing with over the past recent months. Um, Whatever we've had been going on with the pandemic, I kind of see the pandemic being a big part of why we have what we have. When you're feeling cooped up and you just want to be out and you just want to, kind of go back to a normal world. And we're living in the day and age of social media, and it's really, it's one of those things that you can really interact with, and that's kind of like your outlet.
Is
I
people
love
are
that.
very public in giving their thoughts and overall, I guess day-to-day activities when it comes to social media. I mean, I'm a victim of that as well. I think we all are at times. I think I try to be more surface when I'm online. Like won't ever see me like tell you about like, oh, I had a bad shitty day and I got into an argument, or like I'm not gonna give you my bullshit that goes on because everyone's got that bullshit, right? I mean, but I will, like, every now and then I'll throw a post up that I feel like I'm passionate about or something, and I feel like if I need to speak out about it, I will. But generally, I try not to be that individual, and I feel like a lot of the internet at this time is a lot of made up of groups that are maybe very vocal in standing up for their specific I guess what they feel justice or injustice. In this case, not to I guess I don't want to like put down the plight of the speaking out movement. That's not the topic or the narrative, the conversation I want to drive. What I'm just saying is there are a lot of people that are speaking out in general and want to bring to light different issues, right? So you have to figure and consider that professional wrestling right now. Let's get on, as we continue to, kind of move into that topic here. Will Monday Night Raw? I didn't watch it. You watched it, obviously. Did WWE say anything about what's
No,
going on?
no. Any product up to today, we haven't heard anything about,
Other than official
how
like
they're keeping
statements
it
or
up.
something like little corporate jargon.
Other than what we've seen online, that is it. Nothing shared on TV whatsoever. I do know that with Impact Wrestling, anything that where Joey Ryan, who was one of the individuals that was called out within the last several days, anything that was taped from him, he had the cancel culture storyline that was going on. Anything with him has been, xed out. So you won't be seeing that. Anything with Dave Chris, just anything regarding any of the people that were called out on Impact. So
Well,
it's going to be
before
interesting to see what happens.
Well, before we get into there, well, I just meant I guess this is the overall context of pro wrestling. You meant as I was trying to drive into that conversation. I brought up if it was mentioned on Monday Night Raw. You said no. Obviously, tonight on Impact, it wasn't either. Is that something that you want to see? Would you be happy? Would that make you feel good as a fan if I don't know they came out on TV, somebody came out just addressed the situation in a real life viewer to human? Would that like bring some sort of levity and intelligence to the content you're watching? Like they understand and acknowledge what's going on?
Kind of indifferent to it, to be quite frank. I think that the audiences that are the TV audience versus the social media audience, I think there's a vast difference. And, you know, because we're in a day and age where social media really dominates, a lot of, what's on. If you compare numbers, up to what 2 million people who watch WWE versus the as they like to tout, hundreds of millions of people that go on social media and tout their product. Um, Personally speaking, I wouldn't. I'm kind of indifferent to it simply because I think it's just easier to access, social media part of it, and think and know that the mindset is because we're in the technology age that we're in, you can easily just grab a phone, you can easily just grab a tablet, get on it and see that as opposed to, you know, sit on your couch, watch TV. You might sit on your couch, but you might wind up, using your laptop or your, tablet or iPhone whatsoever. And one of the first things that we do is we go on social media. If you're a wrestling fan, pro wrestling fan, odds are you're going to websites, you're going to the Twitter pages, the Facebook accounts, and things like that.
Yeah, but see, well, I would argue that they blend in all of social media now into their content as well,
Hmm.
right? So if social media has taken over in the narrative in regards to the content that's being produced, how feuds are being started, how feuds are prolonged over periods of length of time, or how in certain situations feuds are squashed, right? So I think that when you bring that into the program and it becomes part of it, then you have to acknowledge in certain instances you know, large, vast amounts of claims, especially when it's coming from, let's say, a large company. Whether you be a WWE, where you've had numerous accounts, whether it's Impact Wrestling, whether it's AEW, I mean, NWA, and no company right now, Ring of Honor, I haven't heard anything New Japan, but no, mostly every company has been called out right now. So nobody is, um, nobody's innocent. So if is who's going to be that company that says, you know what? Yeah, this is fucked up. and we see it. And not only do we see it, we know you see it. So we're gonna stand with you and make sure we clean this shit up. Like, it doesn't even have to be long. You don't have to like fucking be like come out and like. I'm not. I mean, I saw in Hamin Media Group, it was like recommended for someone to like maybe have the roster out in the ring. Maybe if you want to do a pre-planned segment that was videotaped or something like that, or
Mhm.
somebody's making an address or something like that. I could see that. That's cool. I don't know if they should come out and have like a dialogue or something. I don't know. I'm not saying like do an open forum. If you want to do that. Maybe not do that on YouTube. Sorry, on TV. Maybe do that on your YouTube or something like that, and let your people decide, if they want to go and watch that. Um, but some companies do address it. So I was disappointed that
Mhm.
Impact didn't, especially because 3 people came from Impact, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You got Dave Chris, Joey Ryan. Who was the other person?
Michael Elgin.
Michael Elgin. Well, Michael Elgin, though, that was old news.
Yeah, yeah. It just for some reason, it was old news, but for it to be brought to light and for
It
them
was
to
already brought to light, though,
it
multiple
it, it,
times.
it was, but I guess
I brought it to light.
yeah.
I brought it up on this show, and I was like, "Yo, like,
Mhm.
is it like?" Because I mean, I'll stooge something off. I worked last year as a commentator for a wrestling company, and we were supposed to bring in Mike. They were going to bring in Michael Elgin, and then there was some backlash local here in the area, and he was removed. Impact removed him. So like, it's been brought up multiple times before. So I just don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying what he did was right. But from my context, it sounds like he peed on somebody, right?
That's coming from his mouth.
Right. He peed on somebody. We don't know if it was consensual in that regard. However, they were already having sex, so like the lines get blurred in those type of situations, guys. And I'm not there, and you're not there. And if it hasn't anything, and nothing's legally come of it, right? So like at this point in time, like I just think you got to let this guy move on. If he keeps pissing on somebody, fuck yeah, get him. But like if it was like only like in this one situation, and he's become a better person. I don't know Michael Elgin personally, so like I'm gonna give him the benefit of that one. Like that one, that guy continues to get harassed, man. So like
Yeah.
he's already getting it. So like
Hmm.
we have to. I think we have to focus on the other people. Like, and that's Dave Christ, who's been apparently notoriously known for sending or soliciting nude photos of his genitalia to guys, girls. Joey Ryan, which everyone's heard my thoughts about Joey Ryan's gimmick here on the Impact show, on the Impact Attack. I am not a fan of the dick stuff, and it's disgusting. And it sounds like it's bled over into his real life. Art imitated reality, or reality imitated art, as they say. But let's talk about Impact Wrestling, Will, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's get to it.
So tonight's Impact Wrestling, as you mentioned, it looks like they scrubbed some stuff. They give us a really long Impact Plus moment of the week, and they chose to use Gallows, his reveal, being one of the members, Ace and Ace. It's funny, as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking before he got demasked, I was like, isn't that Gallows? Aces and Ace? And then they took his mask off, and I was like, oh, okay. Interestingly enough, Devon was in the match was set up for it was supposed to be Bubba versus Devon, but then on Impact Wrestling, but then the rest of Aces and Eights came out. There's like 10 guys. Mike Tenay puts it over really well. He's like, there's like 10 guys out here. And then the rest of Impact roster comes out. And the reason why I'm talking about this more than I need to is prior to this, a couple weeks prior to this, they were at, I believe it would have been Slammiversary, right? Slammiversary is the summer event, so it would have been
Yeah.
Slammiversary I went to in Phoenix, and
Yeah.
that was the night Devon made the turn when he turned and he became a member of Aces and Eights. So I was actually in front row. You can go find that Slammiversary from that year when they were in Phoenix, and like I'm like 5 or 6 rows up, hard cam with like 3 or 4 of my friends that we all got tickets, so I was like, eh. So if I ever get hired, I'll be able to like go back and show that footage. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, check it out.
Did you have your locks back then?
Did I have my locks back then? No, I think I might have shorter hair. Like it might have been like I might have been wearing a hat too. So
Okay.
Well, we were all wearing TNA, shirts, and most of my crew, we were all pulling for Jeff Hardy, and he beat Austin Aries that night for the title. Austin Aries got the crowd, but the crowd was hot for Aries. They wanted Aries to win because Austin Aries came out and he tried to cut a promo on the crowd, and the crowd flipped on him, and they were just like cheering for him. They were like, "Fuck yeah, we love you!"
Was this? I don't. Refresh my memory. Is this Jeff Hardy? Was he a heel at that time?
No, he was a baby.
The
Austin
baby.
Aries was the heel.
Okay.
Austin Aries was the heel, and he was the current champ, and he had been holding on to it for a while. So Jeff Hardy eventually beats him.
Mm.
It was good. I liked it. It was a good match. I mean, the crowd popped huge though when Jeff Hardy won. They were, I mean, huge. But I'm just saying, like Austin Aries, it was also huge as well. Like I said, all the heels that night could not. Like Phoenix was just hot for heels on that show. They loved their heels. Anyway, I'm going on tangents. If you want more respect, if you want more retrospective pro wrestling talk, you can go listen to the Pro Wrestling Reflection each and every Sunday right here on Hacker Hamin with Chabelo Veracruz. Or is he going by a different name now? Is that what I saw on
Uh,
Facebook?
I know him as the professor.
The
That's
professor. But you saw what I saw on Facebook, right? Like that's not just me.
I don't know. I don't know
What?
what you saw on Facebook from him. What is he going by these days, boy?
Are you trying to kayfabe me here
No,
alive?
I really
Is
don't.
that what's going on, Will? You trying to act like a fucking big shot?
I don't.
I don't know. It was something like Anthony. Maybe he's going by his shoot name. Maybe I just gave it off. I'll have to edit that out.
Whoops.
I don't know what he's going by, Will. So it's just whatever he's calling himself, I guess we'll call him the Professor Chabelo de la Cruz. And the Tommy Wonder, as well as Javid. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. So JB, my dog, that's what I call him. JB.
Bashirula.
Bashirula?
Bashirula. Something like
Bashirula.
that.
Javid Bashirula. All right. I got his first name right. I think that's important. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. Shout out to you guys. Also, shout out to CEO Hayes from the Film Frequency, guys. Go check out that podcast. Stooge Report, he will be doing a crossover with me in a couple months for another podcast I do. Look into that and think about that. Film movies and think about what I do and make the connection. Anyway, let's make the connection with your brain here in Impact Wrestling. So, Impact Wrestling tonight starts off with a recapping of what's going on in the world of Impact. I missed the first 2 minutes, so break this down for me, Will. Did they show any footage of Elgin, any footage of Joey Ryan, any footage of Dave Crest?
Uh, Footage of Elgin last week talking to Jimmy Jacobs. You know, just having to do with the main event at Slammiversary. That's mainly it. Nothing with the other two. No.
All right, so it sounds like to me what they'll probably end up doing with Elgin is they'll probably keep him off TV for the next month and let him do Slammiversary still. Because I mean that bit about 3 or 4 weeks with the way social media and the internet and news works, distant news, his portion at least will pass. Like I said, his information has been known out there for a long time, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying it's right, and like I said, there hasn't been legally anything that's come from it, and I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying I don't know people that are in those type of situations, but I don't know Michael Elgin, so I can't make that. I don't have evidence, so I'm not gonna make assumptions. Tasha Steelz with Kira Hogan tonight, though, versus Nevaeh with Havoc. Is that who she took on to start off?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, good for Tasha Steelz though, because Tasha Steelz, she's got a good look. Starts off by the match with just some trash talking. Nevaeh has enough, hits her with the forearm. They exchange some chops. Nail clothesline, leading to them falling outside. They're battling back and forth. Conclusion of the match, Steel missed a charge in the corner and was nailed with a knee strike and a clothesline. Steel slams her down, nails a drop kick. Steels then goes for a cutter, but is shoved into the ropes. Snapped backwards with the German suplex. Steels then got on the apron, distracting Nevaeh, and then Steels rolled her up for the pin. So I was very happy to see Tasha Steelz pick up the victory here. What are your thoughts on Tasha Steelz as a whole, an Impact wrestler since her debut here in Impact, Will?
Tasha Steelz, Jersey girl. I'm originally from Bloomfield, New
I figured
Jersey.
you knew about her.
But yeah, I really liked her act. I've been following her since really more or less since the NWA. when she wrestled Derek, a few times. She's got a good
She goes by
character,
that name, Tasha Steelz in NWA.
Yes, yep, yep. She was the same gimmick, Tasha Steelz. Um, you know, I think for what she does in the ring, she does it well. I think she's very good on the mic. She's got swagger. That's one thing that you have about her. Confident and everything. Um, she's one. She can go anywhere she wants. And I know she had a trial for WWE not so long, long ago, but things didn't work out at that time. But you know what? She continues doing what she's doing. She can go anywhere she wants. But I like the Tasha Steelz, act there.
Well, after that, we did get some footage, some more highlights of Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. Now we get, I guess, this epic saga continues between these two, and it shows footage of Deonna Purrazzo being interviewed by David or Dave LaGreca and Tommy Dreamer from Busted Open Radio. So she's, I guess it looks like maybe she's in her living room, wherever she's at. She's talking back and forth with Dave and her, basically, wanting to make a statement, impact, right? Wanted to, show her that she's the virtuosa, the best thing that's going to be happening in the knockouts division. She puts over the fact that she's taking out Jordan Grace. And then Jordan Grace bombs the call. She Zoom bombs the call. Which I thought was pretty relevant to what had been going on right now currently in the culture. So I like that. However, the only thing I didn't like about this interaction between the two is that I found Deonna Purrazzo's, I guess, either, I don't want to say, because nothing looked like it was scripted, but what she was saying felt just real, like her delivery. It didn't feel forced. And Jordan Grace was kind of wrestling talk. Did you kind of get that vibe?
I did. I did. It's funny because I have the camera over here and on my site. I'm on the Impact Twitter page, and I remember hearing the interview live, and then I see her say something. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass or whatever she says, Jordan Grace to Perazzo, and as I'm watching the video later on that evening, I'm looking. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking the same thing you're pretty much saying. It. I will say this. For what we heard on Busted Open Radio and what we saw on video Busted Open Radio versus you know Jordan Grace on television, I prefer the Jordan Grace that was on Busted Open Radio.
I will agree. I'm not saying that Jordan Grace, what she was saying was wrong. I was just saying that the parallels in the conversation were
Mhm.
very distinct. Like there wasn't a very even flow to their interaction. Like they were both amped up, but it felt like one was real and one was playing a character. That's all.
Oh,
So
yes.
you know what I mean? So there, and that's just like, whether they need to like, speak to each other on how to do that beforehand, or that's Jordan recognizing how Deanna's delivering her current dialect, and how what she's saying to try and sound as natural as possible. A lot of times I think, you don't necessarily need to force that wrestling high intensity. Like I think people just need to like kind of just, turn themselves up volume wise a little bit, kind of just act like you're a little bit angry, but just be real about like what you're saying. And I think that would come through more than being like, I'm gonna get you. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Well, you're a coward. I'll mess you up. I'll see you on Sunday. So
That
and
word Howard. Oh my god.
unless that's what they're both doing. Like if you're both doing it, then that's fine. But like if one's not and the other one is, it's a very drastic contrast between the two. They aired his Slammiversary pay-per-view promo, teasing a former world champion is going to be returning at Slammiversary on July the 18th. Now, there's some speculation it could be an EC3. However, William Alicea, writer of Last Word on Pro Wrestling, writer of IndyProWrestling.com, writer of other things that are probably the Gorilla Position, other stuff, and then of course the HMG Newsbreaker, William Alicea, can you confirm or stooge? Come on, give me some ideas. Who's it going to be? Who's the man or gal showing up to Slammiversary?
Oh boy. So as you can see every week, they're teasing. They're giving you another face from the past, another face, and I mean even so much as to Leo Rush. We've seen Leo Rush. We've seen Carl Anderson. We've seen Doc Gallows, Luke Gallows, Big LG, whatever you want to call him, Eric Young. Uh, it's gonna be a surprise, not to break anything and not to surprise anybody, but you're gonna see something. Hey, look, even the Bulgarian flag with formerly known Rusev now using the real name Miro. We're- It's gonna be a good night at Slammiversary.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to steal the Smack Attacks gimmick here for a second. I'm going to stop the recording. Just hold on 1 second. All right, just don't bullshit me. What the fuck is going to be debuting? Just tell me he's debuting.
You're probably is this still recording? This is
I
still
don't.
recording, isn't
It's
it?
not recording. Just tell me. Come on.
It's probably going to be everybody you've seen there. There's the tag team. The tag team. You're probably looking at EC3. You're probably looking at So EC3. You have what are they called? Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. Um, and I do want uh, I've heard a lot of names. Is really what it
Come
is.
on.
It's the same.
Give
It's
me
the
some more.
same.
Give me some more names. Give me the bigger name. I want the deets. Who would be
So you got there's Sting that they've been teasing as well.
Sting?
I don't know about Sting though. You're
Interesting.
yeah. So maybe Rusev. I don't know. If anybody comes out, it might be for that night. Might be that for that night only. We don't know for sure. We don't know what the actual contract statuses are of any of those guys. I mean, obviously, some of them are still under the no compete clause, but a lot of those end July, I believe July 18th. Um, and I
So
think Slammiversary is on July 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
no, July 18th, same day.
July 18th. Okay, so it's the same day. So,
Look,
um,
here's the thing, Alicea. As out of those people that you've mentioned, I only could think of EC3 and Sting that were former champions. I don't think it's Sting. So that leaves one guy. All right, let's get on here.
we'll see. We'll see.
Backstage, Johnny Swinger. I was hoping he'd bring back Disco Inferno, but he didn't. He did not tonight. Right. So backstage, Johnny Swinger tried to convince. He's looking for a third guy. That's his whole story throughout. They threaded throughout the story tonight because he's in the main event. He's looking for the third man for their team to take on the Niners and Willie Mack. And his first initial attempt is with Rich Swann. He tries to convince Rich Swann to join forces with the what is it, the bench press and finesse
That's
express.
right. Vanessa Bench Press Express.
That's a bench press express tonight in a 6-man tag. So Swan said, one, he's still injured, so he's not getting in the ring, and two, the Willie Mack's his boy, and he's not going to turn on Mac. And he said that wait until he tells Mac about this. And Swinger's like, oh, I can't believe you're going to stooge me off. And he said, you're not one of the boys. And that's what Swan did as he rushed off. Very entertaining segment here. Johnny Swinger stole the show tonight.
Absolutely. They had about 3, 4 segments with him, and I was all about it. I could go all day watching Swinger perform. This guy's fantastic.
After that, we had the Impact flashback of the moment. As I mentioned, it was Bully Ray taking on 3D brother Devon. Then we had this was great. We had a couple different segments. The first segment we had was with the North. They're backstage. Ethan Page says he's frustrated that everyone is throwing all their attention and money at Ken Shamrock. That he's all because he rolled around on the mat with some guy named Roy Gracie. And Josh corrects him. He's like, Royce. He's like, whatever. And he said that he says that did he do anything cool ever? He said, do you ever team with Gracie? He's like, that would have been the coolest thing ever. He keeps ranting. That actually would have been pretty damn cool if Gracie and Shamrock had teamed together. He says that he's the best. They're basically putting themselves over, and they're upset over Ethan Page is upset over the fact that Shamrock's getting all the attention. And then as he's continuing to go on, they do the typical where one person's talking shit about someone, and then all of a sudden they show up behind you, and oh my God, he's right behind me. Here's me. You know what? In real life, Will, have you ever been in that situation where you talk shit about someone, and that person just pops up right behind you? Does that ever happen to you?
No.
Okay, I just want to be clear. That's never happened to me either. Even as a kid, like I'd be like, I'm looking. If you're watching on the video, I'm looking over my shoulder. Yeah, fuck that guy, right? Fuck him in the ass. Took away my crayons. Wouldn't that be use my skateboard? Hate that teacher. Right. Anyway, so basically it ends up Shamrock comes up behind him and says what he didn't. He said, "You think what I did in my career was easy?" He asked if he thought coming to Impact Wrestling was easy as well. Then Josh Alexander steps in and says, "You know what? I'm ready. I'm in my gear. I'm ready to fight." And says, Shamrock says, "I'm your Huckleberry," and that they would do it tonight. First of all, Ken Shamrock, okay, you're not part of the Huckleberry crew, okay? Huckleberry crew leader is Michael Jargo. You need to talk to him, okay? You don't get to just declare yourself a Huckleberry. You gotta earn that, right, sir? You gotta earn it hard. You gotta work for it. That being said, I could take him with 10 guys, and I'll explain here later. I'm just saying, if you listen to Impact, you guys, they proved my point tonight, okay? I think my point was proven here on Impact Wrestling this season. Anyway, I think they're listening. They're like, we can do it too. TNA champion Moose was backstage now in one of the greatest Moose segments as well. Crazy Steve was interesting here, but he's back there and he's upset about being mocked by not being a real champion. You talking about him being a champion and everything. Rahi Raju is sitting there backstage too, chilling there with all the refs and whatnot. Moose comes up and he's got his title, and then all of a sudden Crazy Steve comes up with like a horn. And he goes, he's all going a little crazy. And he mentions that he calls Moose out, says that Moose has got a fake title. And Moose is like, you just earned yourself a championship match. And he's like, yeah, I guess I earned my he can be the fake world champion. He's like, I can't wait. So, you got these backstage segments here with Shamrock and the North, and you've got Moose and Crazy Steve. What do you think of these segments here, Alicea?
Moose. Moose is another one. Him, Johnny Swinger. He's another entertainer. I mean, ever since he's come to Impact, I mean, he's full circle. Just all around heck of a performer. But very entertaining, really funny. Now I'm looking at the Twitter page right now, and it says here, Crazy Steve is blind, and even he can recognize that Moose Nation is a fake world champion.
That's good. Yeah, I've liked Crazy Steve's introduction. I thought that he was. I mean, I like his character. I thought tonight some of his nuances were a little off, maybe. If I'm just being picky, like as far as him delivering his lines, there's too much time of space in some of his dialogue. It was like, you gonna say something? You know what I mean? Like, who talks first? You talk first. I talk first. That would be the drop I'd edit in the NFO podcast. Shout out to them. You can check out them here in the New Force Order podcast. But yeah, that's just kind of felt like Moose, like his presence, his character allows him to be more of that stern, reserved, very selective in his words. If you're crazy, you should be more manic. Does that make sense? I'm not saying he wasn't manic, but like he needs to be manic over like 24 in those scenes with Moose. Not like blah 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 blah. Like I want. Yeah, there can't be a break in that. But he was good, and then he brought it back. I thought when he sang, like I liked that he was like, I can produce a fake. If you're the champion, I'm the top 10 Billboard artist, and then he just started singing about how Moose is a fake champion. So I like that. What did you think of the interaction between Josh Alexander and Ken Shamrock, and his, of course, plagiarizing the use of Huckleberry?
Yeah. Josh Alexander. I mean, you can tell between the two of them. Obviously, old ego Ethan Page here is the comedian of the two, and Alexander just looking for a fight is what I thought. I mean, obviously that's not what we got later on a one-on-one match, but it's good for him to get old big and challenge Mr. Shamrock there. You're full.
10 guys, bro. We could take them. So, there was something that happened on Impact Wrestling that I guess I skipped over. Maybe I forgot to mention because it sets up this next match. So Deonna Purrazzo is backstage and she's being interviewed earlier in the night. She's just talking, right, about her kicking out Jordan Grace, right? And she's interrupted by somebody who wants to, tell her that she's wrong, that she, is new, and that she should, kind of fall in line. Who's that individual? Is it Ty Valkyrie? No,
Nope.
it's not Ty Valkyrie. Is it Kiera Hogan?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. How about Tessa Blanchard? Did Tessa Blanchard call her out?
That's too busy in
Oh,
in
gotcha.
Mexico right now.
You know who it was? Will of God. I totally forgot. It was Alicia Edwards.
Yeah, where'd she come from?
Um, I don't know where apparently. Uh, one. Do you want to know how? Do you want to know how I'm trying to use my words correctly here in 2020. Um, do you want to know how green she was from a production standpoint? Will, she didn't face the camera when she was speaking. So she's had her back the whole time turned. See, like at first I'm like, who is this? And then like I listened to her voice and you can hear her Boston accent. That's just Alicia Edwards. And I'm like, oh, it's Alicia. And then she did her delivery thing, which unfortunately, Alicia, I'm sorry, ma'am, you lady, girl, however you want to be identified, you are not very well in delivering your lines. Very uh, very, very slovenly. I'd
Mm-hmm.
say it feels like when she delivers her words, and they're very dull. It doesn't sound like there's any um, personality in her delivery, and I think that's what resonated in this thing because Deonna Purrazzo was great, like she's great on the mic. So like, but 2 times I saw Deonna Purrazzo outshine other knockouts very clearly in this division on who knows how to cut the promo, where to stand in the, where to look, how to hold the mic when she's cutting the promo and she's talking, you know what I mean, facing directly at the cameras. As you can see, I almost fucked up and looked the other way, but facing right at the camera, whereas anyway, so that this sets up this match, Will. Deonna Purrazzo versus Alicia Edwards. Purrazzo tried to go for an armbar early, and Alicia broke free and went for a clothesline. Deonna grabbed her and attempted to choke. Edwards made it to the ropes, and then Deonna drilled her with some forearms. She continued to control Edwards and worked her on her arm and shoulder. She drilled a knee down across her shoulder and nailed a short arm clothesline for a 2 count. Edwards fired back, but was kicked as she was rebounded off the ropes, nailed with a big kick, a neck breaker, and then cinched in for the submission. Your winner of this match, of course, Deonna Purrazzo, as one you can, as Mr. Binhami, y'all likes to say, circle on the card. Like you kind of knew who was going to win this match. It was definitely going to be Deonna Purrazzo. But as Mr. Ted would say, what would be the business in this match, Will? So I'm going to give you that question. What was the business in this match?
The business of this match was, to I mean, it's her debut match to get her over, get her as that contender for Jordan Grace. I mean, all last couple of weeks, we've seen her attack Jordan Grace. She's the new girl on the block. She's the new one in Impact Wrestling. As we would see later, the match was made official for Slammiversary. So this is more or less just let's highlight her. Let's make her seem like a formidable opponent for Jordan Grace. And I gotta say, it was a hell of an outing, for her. I mean, I kind of like that, that last sequence there. right forming from a Koji clutch right at the end. With that I don't even know what you call that maneuver, but
And whatever submission hold. Look, here's what I would say if Dr. Ted was asking me. Here's my answer. I'd say that the business in this match was to get over Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. So it really had nothing to do with the match itself. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. It is her quote unquote debut match. So yes, it was for her to get the victory. Definitely, that was part of it. But I think the business itself was afterwards, was to continue this feud, right? With Jordan Grace hitting the ring to try and take out Deonna, but she powders out. And then we get told that the match is going to happen at Slammiversary. So I think that was more or less the business here, because it's just, this was a get over match, a talent enhancement match, but it was an introduction match, 100%. So I'm not discounting that.
Mhm.
Here we go, another backstage segment with Johnny Swinger. So he's looking around, he's trying to find someone. Now he finds Suicide. He offers Suicide. He asks Suicide, says it would be a great idea if he joined the team with him and, and Chris Bay. And then, he kind of goes into this big spiel, and then he turns back around, and Suicide's gone. Says he knows he can't trust those outlaw wrestlers. We come back from commercial break. They're still continuing this with Swinger. Now he's trying to convince Hernandez into being in their 6-man tag team. And Hernandez says yes, only though if you can beat him in an arm wrestling match. Swinger agrees. He quickly loses, which was hilarious. His facials were ridiculous. Then he's given a Rhino micro brawler, as they wanted to get product placement there. They're really pushing the crap out of these micro brawlers, aren't they?
They sure are.
Right? Finding any way they can to integrate them. He asked if Swinger was one, or if he asked if there was a Swinger one. He's like, "Where's my Johnny Swinger micro brawler?" He's right. Where is his Johnny Swinger tie-dye micro brawler? He then said, channeling George South, that he could sell this on the gimmick table. So Swinger walks out. He comes across Taya. She was looking for Bravo. He offers her to join in his team. She's like, no. She's like, where have you seen Bravo? And he's like, Dino Bravo? He's like, yeah, he's like, tell him I said what's up. You see him. That was a nice little reference to a former musician, right? Dino Bravo from New York. So that was funny. He offered her a spot and said that she could wrestle for the first time against men and make history, which I thought was funny because Taya plays this off so well. She looks right in the camera, makes a facial expression like, "Are you an idiot?" Like, so this was funny. That was nice and tongue in cheek. She blows him off. So now we get Ken Shamrock versus Josh Alexander. The match that didn't happen because the North attacked Shamrock, bro, and they beat the shit out of him.
Poor Shamrock. I mean, just ever since he's come back, he's gotten. I mean, he's got an ass whooping from just about everybody. He comes, makes his entrance. He's still jacked as ever, right? He looked devastating, and next thing you know, he's just getting whooped. I mean, what an ass whooping he took from the North here.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you that the North, they came out, as we mentioned, he got to the ring. Shamrock tries to fight back, but he's pretty much overwhelmed. Alexander locks Shamrock in the ankle lock as Page stopped him, and then they kept working him over. Several officials did try to come out and stop him, so the North did finally walk off. Do you think it's possible, Mr. Inside Information, that we're gonna possibly get Shamrock and Gracie versus the North?
I don't think so.
You
I
don't
don't.
think they would bring in Gracie for
I
one night?
No. I think I think will be. I mean, look, anything's possible. But I don't. And I know it was mentioned tonight, but I don't. I don't think that that's something that we'll see.
So
We're
what
we're
about
going to seeing something with the North involved for sure. I just don't think it's going to be anything having to do with Shamrock or
wh-
legendary Royce Gracie.
what about what about like Shamrock and Dan Severin,
That would be something.
right?
Severn, I believe, what he was a former NWA champion, if I'm not mistaken, right? That could be something that we could see. I
What
think that's
about
possible.
What about Barnett? Right? Or is it Harnett? Or,
Barnett would be interesting,
or
man.
who's the guy from New Japan? That
Yeah,
is that
Josh,
Barnett?
Josh Barnett. Yeah,
Josh Barnett? Because we have John Barnett, right? Are they? He works now with Cage Theory. He's part
yeah,
of American Top Team.
yeah, yep. No, there's yeah, Josh Barnett. He was the commentator for New Japan for
I'm
quite
just
some
saying
time, for
we're,
Access TV.
we're connected to the Barnetts. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but that could be possible. I
Josh
mean,
Barnett, that would be great.
yeah.
I mean, Roy, you know who I would really like to see, like, and this would be like really cool if Impact Wrestling could go get him is Eddie Bravo. Just bring in him to
Mhm.
have him like tag with Ken Shamrock. But I'm a big Eddie Bravo mark. Um, I think one of his facilities burned down just recently in California. I want to say
Mm.
part of the riots. So I think that would be cool if they brought him in and helped him out. And he's got a background in jujitsu and he's a stoner guy. So I think like you can protect these guys like in a tag team match, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Anyway, we get next matchup. We do have Taya Valkyrie with Johnny Bravo taking on Susie, and I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to say when it comes to, women in professional wrestling, when it comes to men, when it comes to discussing men or women and their appearances. If you want to state that someone is good looking, someone's attractive, got a great appearance, got a great figure, they take good care of themselves, they look healthy, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you want to say you want to rape someone, I think that's wrong. If you want to say you want to take your junk and stick it down their mouth and guzzle them, come guzzle them, that's probably wrong. If you want to say you want to backdoor their rooster with your Brewster and make your cockadoodle yell out woo hoo hoo, it's probably not right. And I could be more graphic. I'm just using terminology to cover up what I want to say. What I'm trying to get at here is this was a great match, and both these women are very good looking. I just wanted to preface all that by saying that Taya Valkyrie and Susie, both very attractive women, veterans in the ring. This was a great match. I really enjoyed this match. And I want to put over the fact that, guys, it's okay to say that women are good looking. You just don't have to be, you don't have to sexually slander them or like be just really grotesque about it. Like I know we grew up in the locker rooms, and this is how guys talk. It's realistic. I don't know if it happens now because I'm not in a locker room anymore like that, or in a high school locker room, or really any type of locker room like that nature. But it happened when we were kids. We all heard it. All guys hear this type of shit. Like, yo, dude, if I saw that chick out there, bro, I would totally roll up on her and just like rail on her face. Like, or if I saw her, dude, I would just like stick my penis inside her vagina and I would just like rust it so hard that she cries. Like, you hear disgusting things. Now, I'm not even saying every guy can try and sit here and bullshit. They've said some shit. Whether maybe they were out drunk at one point, high. Maybe you were just young and you said something really stupid because you were 13, 14, you're just trying to be cool with your friends. Hopefully, as you became an adult, you learned that that was the wrong thing to say. You didn't continue that pattern. There seems to be a pattern, though, that's continuing to happen, and it's now coming to light. So I want to just say that one more time. It's okay to say chicks are good looking. It's okay to say women are attractive. But some women sell their stuff. Like they know they're attractive. But it's not right to sexualize them in that or slander them in that way.
Mm.
Anyway, I just wanted to start all that because I feel like I have to by saying, yo, Ty Valkyrie and Susie were looking great here. Like they just looked awesome. And then Kylie Ray came out, and I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm in a situation where I think is she married? Kylie Ray?
No, I don't think
Well,
so.
I'm just saying, if in a situation encounters where I can ask Kylie Ray out on a social outing and get to know each other on a more personal basis that may include fun activities, I would love to do that. I'd love to partake in that because she's a very attractive lady. So I'm just saying, you guys, it's okay to say things like that. Those are cool things. That's all. That's fine. Anyway. God, 2020, bro. It's a crazy time we live in. Bravo runs out on Taya. She makes her way down the ring. Implication that she was off with Rosemary somewhere. Because, Rosemary is a good looking lady, too. Josh Matthews and Madison Rain is also a very good looking. And he notated that Kylie Ray realized Susie was also Sue Young, apparently, at one point. Do you know that? So Taya began mocking her in the ring. She was pretty great, I thought, kind of antagonizing Susie and throughout this match, yelling at her like, "Oh, you're fake. We all know you are. I'm not scared of you. You're freaky. Who the heck are?" I like how they continue to put over every week that who the heck is Susie waving to? Like Madison's like, "Who's she waving to?" But this week, Josh was like, "Well, maybe she's waving to people we can't see." So I like that. These two went back and forth at one point. She tied up Susie and locked her in a modified STF. Continued to control Susie throughout the match until being drilled with an elbow. I didn't see a head scissors takedown to the turnbuckle. More jaw jacking back and forth. Taya covered her face for a close 2 count at one point after taking her down with a curb stomp. She then went for the road to Valhalla, but Susie rolled through, and then Taya caught her with a knee to the face and rolled for the road to Valhalla, this time for the pin. So the winner of your match was Taya. What'd you think of this match, Will?
I thought it was a good match. I more than ever than the match. The characters. Um, I love the Susie character. The spooky music. Entrance theme. Ode to I want to say Elm Street, right? Something like that. A little bit of that. Um, the match itself, tie up just taunting her, throughout the match, I thought was pretty cool. I mean, Susie, uh, it's just all build up to when she breaks out and we see Sue Young again, and all hell breaks loose, and you know s- someone's gonna get their ass whooped pretty much. But
Buddy gonna
yeah,
get their ass kicked.
I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, it was a great match. I liked it. You put over some good stuff there. Susie definitely is a very haunting type character. But after the match, we see Taya kind of standing over her menacingly, kicking her. And then Kylie Ray comes down the ring and she makes the save. She super kicks Taya. I'm just telling you guys, if I was a 14-year-old boy, I'd have Kylie Ray's poster on my wall. She's a very attractive lady. She's got that like next door girl kind of feel. You know what I mean? She's one of those girls you'd want to take home to mom. I don't know her personally, but that's her character. At least that's how it comes off. So I'm enamored by the character. Backstage, Jimmy Jacobs attempted to try to get an interview with Madman Fulton. He knocks on his locker room, and before he can speak, though, Ace Austin comes through. Says that if Jacobs wants Jimmy Jam. Jim Jam. Do you remember that website? Jim Jam.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember
Jim
that.
Jam.
Used to see that during the old MySpace.
Back in the MySpace.
Oh my
Should we
goodness.
go back to MySpace? You think I saw that argument somewhere? Should we go back to MySpace?
I mean, I had good memories of MySpace. I don't see why not. I don't even know how I ended up getting on Facebook.
Right. Well, I heard students. Well, I can tell you that. I can know I did. I was in college. My first run through, it was back in 2006 when it was only available to college. Like you had to enter your student
Right.
ID to get in.
Mhm.
And I should have invested when Facebook went public. I'd be rich right now, right? Or I'd be part of this, or part of the system, and you wouldn't even know me. So who knows? Different journeys, different lives. So, but the Stooge Report I heard in the Wednesday locker room last week. Shout out to Stranglers, Steve King, and of course Billy Ray Valentine and the Andrew Bello. But I heard them talking, and I guess, um, excuse me, what were we talking about?
Bless you. We talking about Facebook.
So I guess the Stooge Report is that Vin Hamin and Chris Silvio apparently still have their MySpace accounts. So
Oh,
I think they're still active. So
interesting.
I still have a MySpace account, actually. I think I still know my password. I think I've reset it maybe about a year or two ago, so I know what it is. But it's there. It's not as cool as it once was back in the day. You know what I mean? MySpace back in the day, you could like embed and create your wall and
That was
do
awesome.
crazy things. You learn how to write. Like honestly, it was a good way to learn how to write code.
Yep.
Like people didn't realize that. Like if you really like analyzed it and like got to understand how code worked and how it's displayed on a URL or HTML in this case at the time, very early on in the internet, HTML. You could learn how to like pull up Dreamweaver and just literally start typing in this shit and create a website. So I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was cool. And then we got Facebook, and everyone uses that. It's huge.
I know.
Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake tried to bring it back, but unfortunately, he was not bringing that sexy back.
Mm-mm.
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. Uh, so Ace Austin tells Jimmy Jacobs that if anybody is going to speak with anyone, it's going to be him. You don't get to talk to Madman Fulton. Says that Fulton didn't have the best luck in OVE, that he clearly wasn't the weak link there. I don't know if that was a shot. Obviously, it wasn't because this is pre-recorded. He said that isn't important. What it is will be that Austin is becoming the youngest Impact champion of all time. I think they're going to end up building Ace Austin. What do you think? I think they're going to build the company around this guy.
I think so too. I think if you look at that main event, for Slammiversary, who are we supposed to have, right? Tessa, Michael Elgin,
Eddie Edwards,
Eddie Edwards,
Ace Austin.
Ace Austin. I think that's it, right?
I think there's one more person. I thought there was a mystery person returning to be part of that match. Isn't that what it is? That's the mystery thing. Who's returning? The world champion. I think they're going to be in that match.
I guess we'll see. I just think, yeah, I think, go back to what you're saying. I think Ace Austin seems like the could be the next champ. I mean, we've been doing things right with Impact. I mean, we've seen him, his character just develop and develop and develop, and it just the different layers, to what we've seen with him, from his rivalries from Eddie Edwards. I thought was a fantastic one. It was a good program with Eddie Edwards. To any of the other ones, I could see it. Uh,
As I brought it up last week, and Mr. Hamin, y'all go to prowrestlingtees.com/Ben Hamin, agreed with me that there's kind of like a young Shawn Michaels Diesel dynamic that they could kind of play off here. Ace Austin is very charismatic, very flamboyant as far as who he is character wise. Clearly knows how to talk. I think sometimes choice of words, maybe not the best, but he's young, so he's still learning. Like some promos, I think are better than others. I think he delivers really well, which I think is key when you're speaking. Because if you know how to talk, I can make anything sound good, right? So that's the number one thing. So I think he's got that skill. Clearly a great wrestler. And then you pair him with Madman Fulton, and as Ted the Manbeast put over, they've worked together as well in OVW. So there's a history between these two. They have good chemistry. They know each other. So I think now we're being seen. If this gets brought to the forefront, I definitely think long term they could be building around these two, and I think that's great because then you got original homegrown talent within Impact, right? Because everyone always complains, oh, they're always ripping off stars, and this is an original star here. EC3, while yes, he did go through the NXT system, he got over an Impact. That he's technically, I consider him an Impact star. AJ Styles, huge in WWE right now. He was the face of Impact for a decade.
mm-hmm.
So Impact can make stars. It's just sometimes they haven't been on the best platform, the best advertising and marketing. Speaking of someone who didn't, have the best advertising and marketing to join his team, as I'll segue here. Backstage, we've got Chris Bays waiting for Johnny Swinger and his partner. Swinger arrives and says, his original pick. He's got his original pick, someone who's traveled the world, who's been everywhere. It's Rohit Raju. Now I like Rohit Raju, but this was funny. It says that he's only here because he was part of the deal for selling him a used car. Says he wasn't happy about it either. Bay says he's not happy and walks off. Swinger says that he looks over to Rohit and he goes, "Man, you got heat with Bay." And he's like, "Do you own a trans or something?" No, maybe he was talking about a transmission. I didn't get that reference, but did you? Anyway.
Too retroactive for me to remember. I don't know.
So the up next, now we've got that match: the Deaners and the X Division champion Chris Bay taking on Rohit Raju and Swinger and Chris Bay. Typical 6-man tag. Swinger was pinballed and punched by all the baby faces. Partners hit the ring and they're all clotheslined over the top rope as we go to our first commercial break. These two teams go back and forth. Mac nails a stunner on Raju at the conclusion with Bay coming off the top rope with the springboard DDT, pinning Mac. Your winner of this match was Rohit Raju, Chris Bay, and Johnny Swinger. Short but pretty sweet match with, technically, even though, he didn't get the pin, Rohit Raju did get a win here. What did you think of this match?
Oh, just all short match, just all around entertaining. Quick, got get every. Everybody got over in this match, you know.
Yeah.
It did businesses for everyone. Johnny Swinger, again, it's hard to pay attention to someone else when he's there. He's so good at what he does. Um, but I like this team for this bench press express this team here. It's a funny name, man. My goodness, but
And
yeah,
Swinger is gonna like use it now. He's gonna be like, "Bro, I got us a win." So like now Chris Bay can't argue, right? You know what I'm saying? Like because Swinger did deliver in his own twisted way. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I like this Swinger and finesse pairing. What do you think as your thoughts as far as Chris Bay since his introduction in Impact? Were you following him beforehand at all?
yeah. I follow him from Future Stars of Wrestling. I know he did some work in gosh, I forget the other. It was another promotion in Las Vegas. There, Warriors of Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. They
Yep.
had like one season or something like that.
WGN.
WGN, right. So I saw a lot of his work there. I remember his one outing on 205 Live WWE, and no, but he's a good guy. He was going to be someone that was going to go somewhere. I've seen his development over the years, physique wise, his actual work, and he continues to progress. So he's got a really bright career ahead of him. It's just getting started, and for him to be working with a veteran, like Swinger, because I'm sure it's not obviously what you see on the screen, you see on the screen, but whatever happened in the back, there's just he's paired with the right guys. What I'm trying to say, so it's good. He's got a good learning tree to go off of. He keeps doing that. He's gonna be the next big star in Impact. I always thought the same with Rich Swann as well. I thought he was gonna be a future champion too, but I could easily see Chris Bay as a champion as well. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really enjoy Chris Bay's work. I've had the pleasure of calling a number of his matches actually up here in Washington, as he was the Without a Cause World Heavyweight Champion, the Future Stars World Champion, and he was, I think it was the Mav Pro out of Texas champion at one point in time. So he was running around with 3 belts before he signed with
Yeah.
Impact. He could still have those belts because it was right about that time COVID hit, right? So
Mhm.
who knows? But that being said, I think he's definitely been a shining star here for Impact. They've got a lot of good young talent that I think they're developing, and I think that's really good for their brand, right? They're making their own talent from the ground up, or at least to the viewer. They're giving them these talents the national spotlight for the first time.
Mhm.
Um, After that, we got some announcements. As we got what is it? Mac and Bay are going to be fighting at Slammiversary, or at least this should set it up. But we did get that they announced that Jordan Grace is going to be taking on Deonna Purrazzo. That did get officially announced. We also got Reno's Scum. They gave D'Lo Brown a hard time backstage, and then followed by and TJP showed up, and they were pissed that the accusation was thrown around their way that they allegedly attacked Trey last week, and they challenged them to a match. I guess they're going to face off. What do you think of Reno's Scum's return here? How do you think they've been utilized?
I think they've been utilized just fine for where they are. I don't when they come up, I don't. I gotta say, I don't pay much attention, when they're on. I don't.
That's fair.
I'm more focused on tag teams like the North or some of the other acts like well, of course Johnny Swinger comes out at me when I see the whole Impact roster and the show itself. I'm paying attention to the Knockouts division, you know, and what they're doing. That division is just expanding and expanding and expanding. It's like someone new is coming out every week. It seems like. Um, Reno, going back to Reno Scum, I really liked their first run with Impact, um, but no, no, I don't see it as a run that it's just not memorable to me. You know.
Oh, agreed. Agreed. So then we go to our main event for the night. Madman Fulton taking on Eddie Edwards. I think this was a pretty hard fought, aggressive match between two guys. These guys battled back and forth, just nailing each other with some stiff shots. Did you think there was anything that was no sold a lot in this match at all?
Um, no, I mean, not so much. I mean, I thought there were a couple times in the match where you know Fulton he wound up slamming Edwards so much he would register it the right way, you know. Big man slamming him just registering that right way. As far as selling it to however long he should have, I don't know that I had any issues with him. Either underselling or overselling. I think it was okay for what we saw.
Do you think Madman Fulton should have been more dominant? I guess is what I'm getting at in this match.
I probably would have had that. There's a couple spots here, where he winds up, he chokes, goozles him, and he slams him right over the top rope, and he winds up on the floor there.
Right.
I would. It's hard to say, because you have Edwards who's going to be main eventing at Slammiversary versus this huge monster who just went ahead and he destroyed. He's another one that destroyed Ken Shamrock at one point, right? So it's
That's what I'm
like
saying. Yeah.
how does that work? So I think for where Eddie is on the card, where he's gonna be in the card, at Slammiversary, and Fulton knowing that he's that big monster and he is utilized as that. I think for where they are, I think it was okay. The match itself.
Well, after that, the announcers, of course, wondered if everyone for the Impact title at Slammiversary would be wiped out by Austin's new monster, as the winner of this match was Madman Fulton. He took him out. We just kicked him in the face? Is that how the match ended? He kicked up at 2, and then he took out Edwards and pinned him, right?
Mm-hmm.
After nailed him because Eddie nailed him with the Tiger Driver, but Fulton kicked out, and then he took Edwards out and pinned him. So your winner of this match was Madman Fulton, and then after the show ended, did you notice that there was a stinger with D'Lo
Yes.
Brown? So there was this after match post edit thing they edited or they inserted, and it was weird because it was like Impact went dark for a couple seconds, and then it came back up. And it was D'Lo Brown. He's talking to someone about getting the band back together. And then he walks off, and then all of a sudden there's an Aces and Eights vest on his chair. So they're teasing somebody from the Aces and Eights is going to be returning. So that's either maybe a Bully Ray,
Bully Ray, maybe Doc Gallows. There were a lot of members from Aces and the
what about Mr. Anderson?
quite possibly.
Anderson.
We might. Like I said, it depends on who he was talking to, right? Who D'Lo was talking to at the end.
But I think that given the last minute edits they had to make of having to scrub out some individuals, I don't think that this was a bad show. Like, I'm not gonna shit on this show for Impact for what they had to do to have to
Hmm.
deliver in the circumstances and the situation that is being taped. And I gotta imagine someone who has to edit things on a weekly, on a daily basis for their job. I can appreciate them having to like go back, re-added in things to try and make this a cohesive linear show. So in that regard, Impact, I think they did a really good job. They threaded the story throughout the whole night with Johnny Swinger. They got rid of the individuals who were with extenuating circumstances surrounding them, and they also gave you a nice cliffhanger at the end. As Vince Russo has been putting over the last couple weeks, they gave us a beginning, they gave us a middle, they gave us an end, and they gave us a cliffhanger.
Yep.
Great episode of Impact, guys.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, what are your total thoughts? Are you excited for Slammiversary so far? The build from what you've seen?
I'm excited for it. I'm kind of interested in seeing how things are going to wind up, coming about for that main event. More so with Elgin's involvement, see what they're going to wind up doing. Haven't heard anything about that yet, but it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Obviously, they've been giving us. I always like to compare the endings of Impact to the Marvel movies, where you got to stick to the end and get that special ending and see how it's going to hook you to the next movie. And, they're doing it every week. And I like that, so I'm excited to see what we're going to wind up having come Slammiversary. I will say this July 18th, if I'm not mistaken, if you listen to any podcasts or anything like that, you might want to follow. This isn't a promo. This is part of what we might. This might be a giveaway for what we could see at Slammiversary. Gallows and Anderson, they have a podcast, the Talking Shop or something like that, and they've disclosed that on July 18th they're supposed to make some big announcements as to where they're headed next, what wound up happening with WWE, and gosh, what happened in Saudi Arabia. They're going to talk about all these types of things.
Really?
Yes, so that's going to be a listen. And they're going to talk about where they're going to be. So we might have an idea of what's next for them. Obviously, the night's teases, we're EC3, aces and eights, Doc Gallows. That from the beginning when we saw these teases, you could really kind of see for yourself where they're headed to and what we're probably going to wind up seeing. I know for sure that it's supposed to be a really fun night from what I understand.
You want to know why people think Vince Russo has his hands all over hit this show?
Why?
Because it's written like a TV show.
It's a show, man.
I
Impact
know.
is great. And look what's happened over the last 2 weeks. If I mean, I know we're in the Impact Attack, but look what's happened over the past 2 weeks with let's say Raw. Like you've seen, it's an arc, right? It's got the beginning, the middle, and an end. And
Cliffhanger
you
right
leave with the
there.
cliffhanger. And look what's happened with the actual numbers. They've increased. Last night's Raw, the first hour was a bit over 2 million to start. The second hour, fell a little bit, dipped into the 1.9, and then the third hour dipped a little bit, but they weren't significant drops. So on average, that number of total viewers is getting close back to 2. They just got to keep doing that. And I think same for SmackDown. To give me a beginning, to give me a middle, to give me an end. Last week's hook was with the whole Bray Wyatt thing that with the whole the Wyatt family. That should just didn't see, but yeah, that's what I'm saying with
Well,
Impact as
someone
well.
getting piss thrown on their face. I think that was the big story. But that's neither here nor there because this is the Impact Attack, Will, not the WWE Hour, which you can listen to the WWE Wednesday Locker Room Hour or more, however long I decide to record for, as that will be out available Wednesday. Right, Wednesday, Thursday comes out. I don't know. It'll be out Wednesday. Right here on hackerhamin.podbean.com. Don't forget, guys, you can also check out the Raw and SmackDown review each and every week with Ben Hamin and Vince Russo. Now, I don't know how they did this week's show. Did you check it out yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I haven't checked that yet. So I don't know if it's just Stevie and Russo. Who knows? I'm sure that Stevie and Greek God Papa Don and Big Sal will be maybe joined by somebody or just those three on this week's edition of the Conspiracy Horseman on twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horseman. I, of course, will be back with former WWE, former AEW, no, not AEW. Maybe one day he'll be AEW, former NXT. former Ring of Honor, former OVW star Chris Silvio, each and every week joins me on Light the Fuse for your AEW review. So check that out if you're interested and you want a full AEW review. I'm your host with the most lives on the West Coast, your boy, Matthew Schaffer. You can follow me on Twitter on that, Graham, Matthew_Schaffer. Mr. William Alicea, put yourself over. Go.
You could catch me on Twitter. Not a lot. Very, very rarely, but I'm at my handle is at 34222WA. Or you can catch me on Facebook. I'm usually located on the Hamin Media discussion group. That's usually where I'm living. You want to catch any of my writing pieces, Last Word on Pro Wrestling. I haven't written in a little while, but Last Word on Pro Wrestling or IndyPW.com. Instagram, just look for my name, William Alicea, as is.
All right. And for the people who say one more time, who don't know how to pronounce your name, how do you pronounce your last name?
So I always compare it my last name. If you break it down, you would say, you remember the drink Alizé?
No.
You don't remember the drink? Okay, so there's the drink Alizé, just with a C, Alicea, and then the A at the end, Alicea. So Alicea.
I just like to say, I'll say it, dog. I'll say it. Y'all say it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, go to prowrestlingtees.com/BinHamin/SEG shirt/BWOSTV/Greek God Papa Don. And we'll be back for another snack on the Impact Attack next week with the veterans. You're all our individuals. I can't be Ben Hamin. Guys, thanks for checking out another edition of the Impact Attack. We'll be back next week. Peace.